I have a message for you, humanity, about duality versus integration, okay? That's what's coming through tonight. So, but let's do a little disclaimer here that, and this goes before any message that comes through this particular conduit or whatever. And the disclaimer is this: anyone, and all of you do this in some form or fashion or another in different ways, whether you know it or not, anyone who brings any sort of truth or information or light, some would like to call it, into this world, understand that the information is always greater than the filter that it's coming through. In other words, to the best of anyone's ability who's sincerely being as open of a conduit of truth as they can be for everyone's mutual benefit, the message is always going to be limited to some degree, if nothing else by human words. Human words in any human language currently on this earth, very limited as a form of communication. This is why all of what you might call advanced type of beings get to a point where they communicate telepathically, because the energy of the information is where all the truth resides. So the filter of human words, the human brain of the individual who has a certain vocabulary, who has certain speech and behavior patterns that they've constructed during their lifetime or incarnation, these things are all a filter. These things are all a limitation to how much of the actual truth comes through. So know that. Anybody that tells you different, that tells you their word is the word of God or something, either they're self-deceived and they just don't get it themselves, or they're purposely trying to deceive you into thinking that, there's something they're not. It's very, very important that people realize that, if nothing else, about anybody who's acting as any form of a channel, you could say, or a conduit. You could compare it to electric wiring, okay? If you know anything about volts and amps and distance, the longer of electrical wire or wiring that the electricity has to run through, also the size of it and what it's made out of, these things are always a limiting factor. You're always losing some of the electricity through those connectors, those channels, okay, those conduits. It's the same with this, okay? Truth, information, light, energy. Do the best you can to open up here in your center to feel the truth, okay? That's where you have the capacity to understand it. Our human brains and our human words, it's a fun game to do the best we can to bring truth through those things, but it's a very inefficient and a very limiting. It's filtering more of the truth out than any of us would actually prefer. It's not ideal, is what I'm saying. So first of all, know that, okay? Do your best to feel the truth. That's where you can get it from. And if you feel the truth, don't think that the truth came to you from another person. It was already inside of you. That other person may have acted as a factor that helped you find it, at best, okay? Any truth that you glean from this or any other message is yours. That's where it's coming from, because you are part of the source, just like anybody else. If somebody is able to help you find it, that's nice. But really, they're just a reflection that you're using to help yourself find what was already there. And this person's no exception, okay? He has his own conundrums. He has his own tendencies. And how well any of that translates to you, get it from here, okay? That's the best place to get truth from. Even though many institutions or things in this world have taught you not to trust what's here, okay? And they've put things here even that are maybe not in your best interest. But I believe in you because I know that you are part of the great source of everything. You have access to all truth, and however much of that you receive and open up to at any given time-space illusion, like I'm always saying, it's It's your process and it's to be honored. Honor yourself. Believe in yourself more, not less. And look inward into your heart for that truth. Your mind has been filled with all kinds of nonsense and control systems. Your heart can decipher actual truth if you know how to open this chakra, this energy center. Okay? So that's the way to start here. Now, about duality versus integration. The next thing I'm going to go over a bit about astrology. If you're someone who doesn't care about astrology, doesn't study it, doesn't understand it, fast forward through this part. It's probably not going to mean much to you. Or don't. Maybe it'll spark an interest. So, let's talk about the age of Pisces. That, believe it or not, is over. And we are well into the age of Aquarius now, whether you've realized it or not. The age of Pisces, okay, that's a symbol, a duality symbol. Like some call it two fish, some call it the yin-yang sign. Two energies that are equal and opposite, okay? Like with their tails tied together. You can either see it that they're fighting each other or that they're creating like a vortex of perfection. Now, the way humanity experienced the recent age of Pisces for a few thousand years was basically kind of the low end of what's possible. It was all about duality. It was all about struggles of opposition. And that's deeply ingrained in the way people still think. Now we've entered into an age that's not a dual sign. As usual, we as a species, you could say, could respond to the lower end of what's possible in this age, all the way up to the higher end of the spectrum. So I offer to you that at the higher end of the spectrum, we're talking about integration of energies. And that means moving beyond the concepts of duality that have been so deeply ingrained into everybody's thinking. Okay, so let's really discuss the nitty-gritty of what this means, humanity. To the powers that be, okay, I want you to understand that although truth may seem like a big threat to you, because it allows other people that you've kept, you know, in a class system, that they are the lower class and they're not to understand anything about how things work. Historically, this has always been a big problem. Anybody who brought any truth into the world and helped people to start to reflect and to see it within themselves, you always had to silence them, martyr them, for example. I want you to understand, powers that be, that the power you're wielding now, although it may give you a rush, any truth that I bring through is about a greater power than that, and it's for you as well. This is not me giving you the proverbial finger and saying, I'm here to empower the poor so that they can overtake you and turn the tables. That's duality. That's going to get us nowhere. That's what's been going on. And here's the thing, people. If you're currently experiencing yourself as the poor and the afflicted and those who have no power, you are choosing to have that experience, just like the powers that be are choosing to have the equal and opposite right now. You have both worn both these hats in different incarnations. Humanity, you are going to have to rise into a better, a grander, much bigger view of yourselves, so that you don't just keep turning the tables over on each other in this proverbial meat grinder that has been planet Earth for so long now. You have all worn the hat of oppressor and afflictor, and you've all worn the hat of the oppressed and the afflicted and the victim. We've all done this in many different forms, and this one's no exception. He's been everything from the afflicted, powerless victim to a monstrous being that did nothing but conquer things, okay? You've done it too, whether you know this or not. Here's the deal, humanity. No one needs to be throwing stones at the oppressors, and no one needs to be holding down people because you're afraid that when they become enlightened, you're not going to get to wield this thing you're calling power over them. If you currently think that what power is to hoard all the money and influence, and to keep people dumbed down so they'll just do all the hard work so that you can live in the lap of luxury, I'd like to offer you a better concept of what power is. Real power is way beyond any of that. Real power makes you like what you'd consider a Jedi, okay? Where you can materialize things with your mind. You don't need to hoard the money and point guns at everybody so that they don't overthrow you anymore. Powers that be. There's no need for that. There's a much greater power that's there for you too. And any message that comes through me is equally for you as it is for the poor. This is not a judgment against you. This is not a judgment against anybody. So for anybody out there, you know, that you have chips on your shoulders, in humanity you're so full of these. The racism, the classism, the sexism, the religionism. You've all got chips on your shoulders against each other. Here's what I have to tell you. If you want real power and you want to ascend into a higher version of what humans can be, you all together have to drop all of those costumes. The rich, the poor, the race divisions, the class divisions, the cultural background divisions. If you're ready to accept a much grander version of what you are, and I'll offer you a few insights on how to do that, but really it's up to you. You're going to have to feel the truth behind this. You've all been so ingrained with trigger words and fears here, and it's both sides of the fence. The ones that are in power are scared shitless of losing what they consider to be power. That's why they're doing so many desperate things to annihilate the population and keep people sick and stupid. And I'm not judging you for it, guys. I understand your fear. I understand where you're looking at this from. Those of you that are the poor and afflicted, if your hearts are full of murder and you want to turn the table so you can be the rich dominant one and impose upon them what they've done to you, please understand when I tell you you've already done this. You earthlings have been doing this back and forth to each other for longer than you believe this planet's been here. And this isn't even an old civilization, this planet. Most of us have done it all throughout time and space in a whole bunch of different versions of what can be. And we can get into that in other videos, but that's not really the point here. The point here is to understand how you can rise into real power. Real power is not keeping people stupid so that you can have the money and the big palace. What good is it doing you when you're still just falling apart with diseases and fears and the same things? This little weak illusion of mortality. You can rise above and beyond that. Do you know that you have the capacity to regenerate all the cells in this thing as long as you would choose to? Would you consider that to be real power? And it's not done by drinking the blood of children or some maniacal thing like that. That's not how it works. And we can get into that more in other videos too. But right now we need to get past this. For anybody who's open to it, we need to get past this dualism thing. It's the only way this is going to work. Those of you that are holding a grudge against anybody because secretly you feel inferior and victimized, or you believe that you're superior but you're scared of losing that, why do you think you're scared of losing that? Because it's fake to begin with, okay? So to the great religious leaders with your crowns of gold that your necks are breaking under the weight of, to the great governmental leaders with all your plots to, you know, control the population and dumb it down and keep dumping chemicals and injecting them into everybody so that they're so sick and weak and dying all the time that they can't ever take the power back. Guys, that isn't power anyway. There's nothing to take back. You haven't found real power either. That's why you're still playing this game. But you can, okay? There doesn't need to... Part of the problem here is that deep down even you still believe in the need to be judged for the things you've done. Whether you know it or not, you're judging yourself. Just like the poor are judging you for what you're doing to them. Guys, both sides of this illusion, you're going to have to drop all that judgment. As ye judge, so you will be judged. If you're still judging, it means you're living in fear, it means you're not going to manifest your real power. It doesn't work that way. If you want to unlock all the strands of DNA that are not connected inside of you and become an advanced being that's far beyond the need to play these little petty games like human life is just a monopoly board and it's all about who can own the most stuff and make everybody else pay a bunch of money for even being here, please understand your real power, your real capacity is far beyond all that. If you want to be a real Jedi, guys, if you want to really be one with the Force and awaken to a whole godlike level of being or whatever, all these fantasies people make on TV, it's not about this secret backstabbing stuff and the secret societies. Guys, if you'd achieved any real power, you wouldn't need to keep people in pens like cattle anymore. And to you that are experiencing being cattle, you're just as powerful as they are. But nobody's awakened their real power yet on this planet in the current illusion in time and space. Now, in alternate realities that I can see, we have, and you will. If you'd like to step onto that, whether you're currently being the afflictor or the afflicted, you're going to have to drop all of that completely, okay? You're all stuck because of that. You know how in the Bible Jesus said it'd be harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle? If you don't look at that carefully, you'll think that Jesus was just, had a personal issue with rich people and he was always, just angry at them and resentful or something. If you don't understand that he had an awareness that gave him power beyond what it means to be rich with money, and you're only seeing that from your ego perspective, then you're not really understanding what's there. What I'm saying here is that actually, it's probably harder for those that are currently wielding all the so-called worldly power to actually receive what's being offered here. I feel compassion for you, is what I'm saying. Those of you that are experiencing yourself as the kings of earth. What are you really the kings of right now? Nothing. It's miserable even for you. Okay? The reason it's harder for you is because you think you have more to lose. If you're currently part of secret societies that are abusing and molesting and children and all this weird stuff and doing all these weird sick rituals, to what? What? What is it getting you? It's getting you more disconnected from your real source and your real power. You're living in a self-imposed hell just like everybody else. You may be wielding more of what's currently considered power, but what good is that actually doing you? Is that real power? No. It's a self-imposed disease, guys. And for those of you experiencing yourself as poor and bitter about it, and woe is me, and I'm inferior, I get an inferiority complex even though I don't want to admit it, and I talk all this nonsense all the time. Guys, you have to be real. You have to find the truth in here. Humanity, I've come to be among you so I could experience these things that you call the human experience, so I could get lost in it long enough to fully understand what it is you're trapped in. And I do now. I understand it better than you do. That's why I'm offering understanding to help you move beyond this. But you're going to have to all do it together. If you're holding a grudge against somebody, that means you still live in the illusion that they have some power over you, and they don't. And if you're on the other end of that spectrum and you're holding people down because you're so afraid that they're going to wake up and be as powerful as you are, well then what kind of power do you really have, guys? That's not power. That's petty and weak and ugly, and you know it. If you can get in touch with what's in here at all, if you're not too scared to leave here for a few minutes and feel this, you're going to understand you have this truth within you too. As long as humans want to keep playing this duality game that we're the good and you're the evil, we're the good guys and you're the bad guys, it's us versus them. And humans, this is all you've been doing for so long. You've been dividing into all these different versions of us versus them. Where is that getting you? It's keeping you in your cages. That's all it's doing. If your cage is the one where you wear the crown and you're scared shitless somebody's going to take it from you, it's a cage. It's miserable. It's not creativity. It's not freedom. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. It doesn't matter. What are you doing with it? Just hoarding it from others so you can pretend you're superior to them? That is not power. That is not freedom. And you're just as entitled to that power and freedom as the poor, okay? Because like I'm trying to help you guys understand, you've all played these different roles before. Your soul has been experimenting with what it's like to be the rich oppressor, what it's like to be the poor afflicted one, and everything in between and outside of that and in between and all over the place, okay? You've all played all these roles, whether you remember it or not. If you're poor and you're a minority or whatever, these different definitions people like to wear in this world right now, and you think, oh, I just want to be rich more than anything, what are you doing? You're projecting, oh, those people have something I don't, and I hate them for it, and I want to be that. How confusing is that? What are you doing to yourself? You're muddling yourself into insanity. Okay? On both sides of this spectrum and everywhere in between, these are just games you're playing, humanity. You need a much grander vision, every single one of you, for what you really are. And again, I'm going to make this point, I'm making in a lot of videos because it's relevant to this if you're open to it. You all have a whole bunch of strands in your DNA that are not activated right now. And as long as you're still playing these games, they're not going to be. You're going to keep reincarnating on Earth in this meat grinder, in playing these games and dressing up in the whole duality system of my religion hates your religion, and my God's better than your God, my government's a monster, and my government's the answer, and I'm a sheep, and I'm a cattle, and I'm an oppressor, and I'm powerful, and yada yada yada. These storylines are long since worn out, guys. Something deep inside of you knows what I'm saying is true. If you want real power and if you want real freedom, you have to expand way beyond all of that, okay? Within you, most of your strands of DNA that are not connected, that scientists have been calling junk DNA, like the earth is flat and don't you tell me otherwise. Come on, guys. You have potentials in you that have been put there by advanced beings, a lot of them, okay? If you want to experience what it is to advance beyond these little games we've been playing on Planet of the Apes, you can. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with worldly accolades or positions or titles. It has nothing to do with belief systems. It has nothing to do with so-called science on this planet. Everything on this planet is incredibly primitive. Incredibly primitive, okay? This is the most primitive place in this universe. You can take it from me or not. Try to feel the truth behind what I'm saying. If you would like to graduate into an experience beyond primitive, beyond duality, beyond the self-imposed misery of this planet, no matter which part of it you're playing right now, you can do that. I don't care who you are. You have to drop all judgments. You have to drop all resistance. You have to drop all belief systems. And you have to open up into a higher capacity of what you are. You don't have to do any of this. In fact, it's not something you can force anyway. It's something you can allow. But the only way you're going to be able to allow it is if you drop all those other things that are just creating resistance to it. The identity game that's being played on this planet right now, ridiculous. And it has been for a long time. If you accept any of the identities that have been handed out as supposedly the different identities that exist on Earth to be human, you're not going to see what I'm saying, you're not going to feel what I'm saying, you're not going to be able to open up to it and receive it. Humanity, you are made of things far beyond any of this. And if you'd like to experience yourself as that, you need to stop settling for any of these petty roles that you've been playing on this planet. The people that you think are so powerful over you, they're not. They're scared just like you. They're confused and scared, and they're decaying in the mind of death, perishing for lack of knowledge and understanding. Now, there's no such thing as really perishing. There's just perishing incarnation after incarnation because you're not really opening up to a higher version of what you are. And that's fine, because when your soul gets bored of the role you're playing, it just moves on, and you take on a new role. But how many times are you going to play king? How many times are you going to play slave before you're tired of those petty roles? The real you is expansive beyond all that. There's much bigger, better definitions to have than any of those petty little chessboard roles you've been playing on this planet. But in order for you to be able to imagine and envision that, you're going to have to start here. You're going to have to open up here before this can even begin to get it. This thing is a power tool. And people have been installing programs in it since you got here. Life after life after life after life. If you want to be able to see past all those programs that have you so confused and miserable, you're going to have to receive this information here first. The center of you. The sun at the center of your galaxy. The real life giver. Okay? The real energy source. I hope you can feel what I'm saying. I want that for you. I love you all. From those of you that are purposely dumping chemicals on everybody to kill them, to those of you that hate them and wish you could just lynch them all, and everything in between. Those of you that are so peaceful you don't even understand how to defend yourselves. to those of you that are incredibly brave warriors but you don't know what to do about it. All over the place. You're all so unique you don't even know it. But you're not going to tap into any of that and discover all the real colors of your rainbow if you're still playing these identity games that you get taught in this world. This world is kindergarten of the universe. It's low vibrational, it's miserable. Now right now on this planet, the vibration is in an upswing. That's got to do with where this galaxy currently is moving through in this universe. It's an energetic thing. This is a very special opportunity in time. If you're incarnated on Earth right now, no doubt you came here at least planning to take advantage of that and go through the massive experience of what it's like to awaken into a whole higher reality. Not because your soul doesn't already know about that reality, it does. But if you're incarnated in any kind of physical form, you chose to give yourself the opportunity to experience it from that perspective. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? There's all kinds of confusions. There's all kinds of games going on here. What I'm really saying is that real truth is not a threat to any of you, no matter what position you're in right now. Those are all illusions and games. The hatred game, the judgment game, the belief system game. Look, I know there's been a lot of hurt, and so-and-so's been hurt by so-and-so, blah, yada, yada, yada. And I understand that some of you don't even want to see past that. I'm simply offering some truth to come through, that if you would prefer to move beyond all the pain into something much bigger and better, you have to let go of all that and all those illusions and let other people move into it too, no matter what role they've been playing. If you feel afflicted and you think, well, I don't want those rich, mean, overlord people that have caused me all this pain, or I don't want the personal individuals that I've been in relationships with that have abused me in some way, I don't want them to have that same great expansive experience as me, then you need to understand that abuse they inflicted upon you is a reflection of what you already have inside. You are carrying that abusive vibration. That's why you don't want them to have that. That's why you want to hold them down with judgment. This is the truth of what it means not to judge. When you were told not to judge by various prophets or enlightened beings that have come into your world, they weren't telling it to you in a religious sense. I order you not to judge because that's a spiritual challenge for... No. They were offering you something that's supposed to help you. If you would like to expand beyond the pain and find a much higher version of yourself, those judgments are an illusion that you have to move past. You're an indestructible, immortal being. If you've been abused, it's because you chose to experience that in order to have perspective. Now, I've come into your world and been abused by all sorts of things. I don't hold any of it against any of you. I chose that on purpose so that I could understand what's going on here. So I could feel your feelings and understand your belief systems and what's got you so imprisoned. There is no bitterness in my heart over any of the pain I've experienced. Okay? There is no enemy here. Even if you consider yourself to be my enemy, you're not. Doesn't mean if you attack me, I won't whoop your ass in one way or another. I absolutely will. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't defend yourself. I'm saying holding judgment and bitterness against anybody or anything is an anchor. It's holding you down from your own expansion. Your expansion is an inward thing. If you go in far enough, you'll find that it's the same as going outward into the universe. There's an unlimited amount of expansion. As above, so below. As outward, so inward. Okay? Go within to find what I'm talking about here. Me, I, we, that which is speaking through me. Okay? It's an energetic truth. Now, I could tell you which particular extraterrestrial race is mostly responsible for this message I'm speaking to you right now. Let me know in the comments if that's even necessary, if you're curious. If you're not, it doesn't matter. Truth is truth, and if you're ready for it, you are. Let's stop there for now. Drop the duality, drop the judgment, and expand if you can feel this. Let me know what you think and feel. I love you all, every single one. And real truth is not a threat to any of you. It's for all of you.